Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Strand Tennis Center podcast, filled with tips, advice, tennis, not tennis, just life advice too, whatever you need. Like it on YouTube, share it on the podcast as well. Thank you. All right, George, welcome to the Strand Tennis Center podcast. Buddy, I'm always reading, trying to get some valuable information. I'm going to go over some marketing things here, which I think is interesting. I'm fascinated with it and how people are persuaded or not and things like that. I think it's important in regards to just life. When you talk to somebody, if you're talking to your kids and you have to get them to do things and they necessarily don't do it, you have to get a student to do something. You have to persuade them. Sometimes a student that you're teaching won't buy into what you're doing. That you got to get them to believe it. And sometimes it's hard. So there's a list. I mean, I have like 38 different topics from different books. But I'll go over some straight ones. What you got? I'll go over a few of these. I'm not going to go over them all. It'll be just too long. But I'm just going to try to do some things that. So let me go through this list. So social proof is very important. This group just as like yours loves it. Okay, so in other words, social proof is something which is very big now, as influencers and things like that. Social proof will show you, hey. If I'm trying to convince a student to do this, I'll say, hey, look at the 4 other students that are a court ahead of you. Look at this is what they do. That's the social proof. So you're trying to show them, if you want to get to this court, this is what we did, and that's how you do it. On a training level, that's a simple way to do it. On a larger level or marketing or scale level, you have influencers that do that. If, I'm looking at your Dunkin' Donuts cup. If, what's her name? Charlie D'Amelio, she did the Dunkin' Donuts thing, right? That's social proof, right? She's got how many followers on TikTok? I don't know, 100-something million. It's insane. So those kind of things are huge. But you can do it on a smaller level with social proof. If you are training someone, that's the biggest way to do it. They always want to move up a level. You show them that level and say, this is what you have to do if they're not buying into what you're going to do. Creating scarcity is important. Creating scarcity is a huge thing. Why does I forget the clothing company that only makes a few, or Apple used to only make a few. How many iPhones? Because they're creating scarcity. They want them to sell out. So if you say there's a limited amount of spots, and you have to be truthful about it. You can't manipulate. You can't say there's 3 spots and there's really 7, and then people take them. You have to say, like, this is all we're gonna do, and you've got to stick to it. Got to say, all right, we're going to take 4 spots on this upper court, and that's all we're going to do, and it's your job to get up there. And that's natural scarcity, and people will want to have that. So creating that has got to be genuine. All these things that you're trying to convince or sell people, it's very important, again, to learn how to learn all these things, because you need to learn how to sell. That's a big thing in life. Not even selling products, just selling yourself. And selling somebody on yourself, right? If you want to sell scarcity of yourself, you go into an interview and you say, hey, if you're honest, I'm looking at 4 other things and this is important to me. I know that's kind of ballsy, but you can sell yourself in so many different ways. Limit choices. I find this insane on the tennis level, in the tennis world. And I think they're finally getting to this. It drives me crazy with all of these tennis reps and rackets. All of them. Head, Babolat, Wilson, Yonex, all of them. They come like Babolat's a great example. They came out with a great racket. Pure Drive was fantastic, and the Aero Pro, fantastic racket. Nadal first used it. It was an incredible seller. They went to number 1 basically, and then they created more SKUs than than cars on the road when I was driving yesterday. When you create all these SKUs, you get a bunch of... I don't know why they think of this, George. They get in the office. I don't know. They're sitting around the office go, we sold this racket, but maybe we can sell... They have different head sizes. Maybe we could sell... This is a 100-inch. Maybe we could sell a 110 that's 2 ounces lighter, a little wider, and we'll sell a 120. And they come up with 30 different SKUs to think they're going to satisfy 30 different demographics, and then half of them sell like shit. The SKUs are the worst. So you want to limit choices, because You ever go to the grocery store? Oh my God, it's like watching the Hurt Locker at the end when you go see all the Cheerios and all the cereal aisle. Oh my, you can't even make a choice anymore. That's why In-N-Out Burger's still great. I mean, they started that in the 40s. In-N-Out Burger still has, I think it's just 4 different items. And that's it. You should go back to simple SKUs. If you're going to do something, and again, I equate this always back to coaching. If I go and tell a student and give them 5 different choices to do something, they're going to be totally confused and not know what to choose. Give them 1 or 2 different choices, or when you're teaching them, give them 1 or 2 different concepts to think about, or 1 or 2 technical things. You give them 7 or 8, they're going to be very confused. So limit the choices. Price high. Let me see. Let me look at all this. Reciprocity. So reciprocity is key. So usually, if you do something for somebody for free, or you do something first, they will naturally do something for you. They did a test that at a McDonald's that if they gave them a gift before they walked in, they spent more money than after they walked in if they left. So they realized, and actually if they gave them the actual food that they were in there to shop for, they bought more food because they naturally want to give. So if somebody walks into your store or somebody walks onto your tennis court, give them something immediately, whatever it may be, whether it may be something that you're going to help them with. I couldn't even think of the example, but give first, and they naturally will give back. It just happens. Personalized request, all those stuff. Written command. Ask a favor for someone who you think doesn't like you. This is fantastic. Ben Franklin used to do this. When you think someone doesn't like you, ask them for a favor, and it actually will create a connection. Say, hey, I've got this book. Could you sign it for me? Could you write something? Anything you can ask them for a favor for, you'll actually build a connection with that person that doesn't like you. And they'll actually go, oh, boy, I actually didn't really know that person. It'll actually create that connection. Start with, I'm just going to go through them all so I make sure that I don't waste anybody's time. Mention your weaknesses. It builds trust. It really does. So you've heard this when somebody makes a speech and everything's perfect. Boy, politics lately, it's all that. Like, everybody's perfect. Everybody's great. Mention your weaknesses. It makes you a human being. It's like anything. You run a business, admit that you're wrong. You're coaching, admit, I made a mistake here. We didn't prepare right for this match. It's okay to admit those. Now, the problem sometimes on a high level with coaching is you get paid, and if you start messing up and that player doesn't like it, but you have to stay true to yourself and say, hey, this is my fault. I did this. Own your mistakes. It's very important. Make the client feel special, build rapport. All right, I'm just going through them all. There's so many of them. Package ads, don't give too many gifts. Don't give too many gifts. People will think it's a right. So that's a fine line, too. So that's a little contradiction, but if you give too many gifts, people start expecting it. So giving too much, people start to expect too much. So you got to have a fine line with what you're giving. I'm going to go into the next things, which are really important about service and coaching. Okay, so players, people want to feel closer together. You want to have a major impact on someone's life. This is how you do it. Number 1, be present. It's very important, like we said. Listening is one of the most important things you can do, not only with client you are serving, overhear conversations. So you have to listen. That's number 1. Take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Very important to be professional, take it seriously. But if someone wants to try something different, don't be so married to what you're doing and taking it too seriously. Don't let your own standards get in the way of giving a customer what they need. So in other words, some people want to come in here and just hit. And then the coach will sometimes be like, well, this person doesn't want to learn. But sometimes that's what they want to do. They just want to hit. Some things don't make sense until you see how it makes the customer feel. It doesn't make any sense for somebody to come in here and pay just to hit balls and no one talk to them. But some people just want to do that. So you want to give the customer what they want, and don't put your own standards, your own Mendoza line onto this. It's just like with employees. Some employees want to do this, and they're good at it. Don't put them in a situation that they're not good at and make them uncomfortable. Find what they're good at and double down on it. One size fits one. If we treat service with one size fits all mentality, we never really reach or have an impact. So again, it's like sticking to your standards. You don't treat everybody the same. If somebody, again, is a servant volleyer and you're just working on ground stroke, it doesn't work. If somebody, doesn't like cardio classes and wants to come in here and do a private lesson, don't treat everybody the same way. Everybody's different. That's with coaching. That's with anything. A mistake is an opportunity. This is a great one. So when we make a mistake, it's a huge opportunity because it builds a bond. So if I make a mistake and I make it good and I correct it and I do the right thing, those people will become closer to you. So a great example of this is, I think it's Will Gardera's. A lot of this is Will Gardera's book too in hospitality, unreasonable hospitality. But there was an example of somebody, I think they went to a store, I think it was Panera or whatever, and it was a terrible experience. They said, this was awful. I'm probably messing up the names. Chipotle's so much better. I can't believe this. So the manager said, okay, I'm going to not charge you, refund your meal. I'm going to give you a gift card. And she opened the envelope, and it was a gift card to Chipotle, so not to Panera, which was an amazing thing, right? So that's like really making a mistake on opportunity. That person is now a loyal fan of the Panera or whatever it may be. So if you really, really want to make a mistake on opportunity, you can do something that bold and give them a gift card to somewhere else. But those are opportunities for connections because mistakes are big moments. So don't forget that. Those things can be very helpful. So hopefully this helps. It just tells you how to deal with people, how to talk to people, how to sell yourself is very important. So, and there's a book called Yes by Robert Cialdini, which is great, and Influence, which is great too, that you should read because it'll help you understand human nature. It'll help you understand when you're being manipulated because you don't want to be manipulated. You want to see it's coming. Even though you can see it sometimes, it's hard to control. So read those books to understand how to sell yourself and how not to be sold in a manipulative way. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Hey, everybody. Hope you like the podcast. Please share it with your friends, anybody that you know, anybody that's into tennis, anybody that's into bettering themselves. Share it.